Verse 7. After that, Daniel says he kept watching in his night visions, and behold, there was a fourth beast, terrifying, dreadful, and exceedingly strong. He saw something that looked like a weird leopard with heads. He saw a bear, right? And then he saw a lion that stands up, gets on its feet, right? But this one was something else, out of the ordinary. There was no animal on earth that he knew of that he could use to describe this thing. It was truly terrifying, and it possessed huge, formidable iron teeth, and it voraciously devoured and brutally tore things to pieces, like completely crushed them, and it relentlessly trampled underfoot whatever was left. Whatever it didn't manage to grab and crush with its powerful mouth, it mercilessly stomped on. And it was different from all the other animals I saw in the previous vision. And this one had 10 horns, whoa, 10 horns. I've seen 10 horns somewhere before. Back there with the dragon in chapter 12, and with the beast that comes out of the sea in chapter 13, and with the beast that Babylon is sitting on. Okay, so this weird creature here isn't so strange to me anymore. Man, isn't it great when God gives us the interpretation? It makes us so happy. But before the interpretation, shall we read the rest? Come with me. Start jotting down the details you notice in the text here. Verse 8. As I was watching the horns, I saw that another horn came up among them. Look, up until now, we've only been introduced to the 10 horns. Now we're going to see what I call the dance of the horns. We're going to see a change in the setup here. These 10 horns won't stay 10 horns until the end. I saw that there were 10. Go ahead and draw your 10. Now, it's not one of the 10, but among the 10, another one comes up. Another horn came up, and 3 of the first ones were pulled out before it, so it rises and 3 are uprooted. How many are left? 8. I kept watching. No, I haven't finished reading yet. In this horn that came up and knocked down 3, because it's 1, that's why there are 8, because 3 fell, but it added 1 more there. No. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a man and a mouth that spoke arrogantly. Remember the heads with blasphemies and so on? A mouth that spoke arrogantly. 9. I kept watching until some thrones were set in place, and an Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was flames of fire, with wheels of blazing fire. Who here remembers Ezekiel? 10. A river of fire flowed and came out from before him. Thousands upon thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. For everything. This is something that is there in the text of Revelation chapter 20, within the millennium. Look here. He is giving me a vision that I know is before the millennium and is already bringing me victory and showing me a glimpse of the beginning of the millennium, or rather, the end of the millennium. "11. Then I watched because of the voice of the great words which came from the horn. Look, Daniel. Daniel is in the throne room seeing a vision like this. Wow, spectacular. And then, out of the corner of his ear, he's in another vision, which is in a different period of time. And he's hearing the blasphemies of that terrible beast. And he wants to know what the heck that is. Look at the attention of the man, which God obviously wanted him to see. Like, keep going, come here, let me lend you my ear, Daniel, because you need to see more of this thing. Where am I? 11? That's it. I kept watching because of the sound of the great words that came the sound of the great words that came from the horn, I kept watching until the beast was killed. He sees the animal, and he sees the death of this terrible beast, its body destroyed and thrown in to be burned by fire. Welcome to the end of the beast that rose from the sea, which is described more or less over there. But here the description is even better: blood everywhere. But it is thrown into the lake of fire over there in Revelation chapter, the beginning, the end of chapter 19. We see a bit of this in the war of Gog and Magog. For those who associate the Antichrist with Gog, his end will be in the mountains of Israel, and he will go to the lake of fire. 12. As for the other beasts and so on, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a certain period of time. Take a moment to think about that. That means the other beasts, which are actually kind of incorporated into this one here in the vision from Revelation, they still have a span of life for a certain time. When exactly is that? What are they going to do during that certain time? 13. I was watching in my night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man was coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was brought before him. He was given dominion, honor, and a kingdom. Who is it? Who is going to receive dominion, the kingdom, and the honor? Jesus. His dominion is an everlasting dominion. If you had any doubts, now you don't anymore. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which will not pass away, and his kingdom is the only one that will not be destroyed. Everything here in Daniel's statue was destroyed by whom? By this one here, the stone that was cut out from the mountain and thrown at the statue. The statue, all the kingdoms destroyed by the kingdom that is eternal. As for me, Daniel, just imagine him watching this movie play out in his mind. Verse 15, my spirit was grieved within my body, and the visions in my head troubled me. So I went up to someone who was standing near me and I said, hey, can you explain this, please? Then he told me and made me understand the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, which are four, the lion, the bear, the leopard, and the terrifying, weird one, they are four kings who will arise from where? From the earth. But where did the four animals rise up from? At the beginning of the chapter itself. There in verse 3. From the sea. In the interpretation, they are rising from the earth. We have two dimensions here of information and revelation, or seeking revelation. 18, but there, everything is bad, right? Now comes the good part of Daniel. Verse 18, but the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even from everlasting to everlasting. Hallelujah. But okay, can you talk more about these things, these strange animals? 19, I wanted to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, very terrible, and had iron teeth. Look at the extra detail here and the bronze nails. This detail wasn't there in the original vision. The animal that devoured and tore into pieces and crushed and trampled underfoot what was left. 20. I also wanted to know the truth about the 10 horns that were on its head and about the other one that came up, that little 11th horn there, before which 3 fell. That is, about that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spoke arrogantly, and this one seemed to be more imposing than the other horns, than its companions. If they're companions, they're of the same kind, let's say, in terms of positions roles, I'm imagining governmental roles. That means he's kind of in the same ranking. You remember that Hitler, he was low in the ranking and he was short too. He wasn't much to look at, but he had a meteoric rise. He came from obscurity. I think he was a kind of Antichrist type. The rise of the Antichrist will be just like that, fast, accelerated. Verse 20, is that right? 10 horns mouth, 21. I was watching, and I saw that this horn was waging war against the saints and defeating them. Wait, I've read this before. Back in Revelation 13, the beast that rises from the sea receives power, authority, the throne of the beast, and persecutes the saints. It receives authority and power to wage war against the saints and to defeat them. He is given permission. So, could it be the same here? It looks similar, doesn't it? Verse 22, until the Ancient of Days came. So the saints are handed over to the Antichrist until then. Then the Ancient, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. How does that work again? Is it in that court we saw being seated here at the beginning? Well, not at the beginning, but in verse 10. The court sits and the books are opened. It could be around the same moment as this, which is here in verse 22. The time came when the saints took possession of the kingdom. That sounds like it's talking about the millennium and beyond. Verse 23, he said to me, the fourth beast will be a fourth kingdom. We've already read here in the chapter that the fourth beast, the four beasts, are four kings. Now we have another layer added to the interpretation. It's also a kingdom. They are kings and they are kingdoms. I'm frozen on my screen. Nobody loves me. I'm playing statue. Someone online, give me a sign of life so I know you're hearing something. Verse 23, he said to me, the fourth beast will be the fourth kingdom on earth, which will be different from all the others. It will devour the whole earth. Think about it. We had Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persians, Persia, Greeks, Romans. The Assyrians were swallowed up by the Babylonians, who were swallowed up by the Medo-Persians, who were swallowed up by the Greeks, who were swallowed up by the Romans, who were eventually swallowed up by all the others, the Ottomans, the Byzantines, and so on until we get to the UN, and the UN ended up swallowing everyone. Think in terms of empires that keep expanding, and when we get to the beast in Revelation 13, we see the characteristics of all the other kingdoms here. So it's growing, it's expanding its scope and its authority over the whole planet, over the entire earth. It will devour the whole earth, trample it underfoot, and crush it to pieces. 24, as for the 10 horns, 10 kings will arise. So this matches the wording from the Babylon text in Revelation 17. The 10 horns are 10 kings. Where will they arise from? From the same kingdom, which is this terrible fourth kingdom that has already encompassed and swallowed up all the others. And after them, another will arise. Remember that among the 10 horns, another one came up. This another one is the Antichrist, that beast that rises from the sea, this king of the fourth kingdom, but who is also one of the horns, because he is a kingdom, but also a king. He rises up and will be different from the first 10. Imagine my fingers here are doubled. And he will humble, which means that the other 3 will be uprooted, meaning they will be humbled or killed, depending on the translation you're using. 3 of the 10 kings. So the beast of Revelation 13 will rise up in the last empire, from the last empire of Daniel 7. There's already a lot of detail here, right? Verse 17 says that the 4 beasts are 4 kings, and in verse 23 we add that they are 4 kingdoms. So, what about our allegory? It's allegorical because a horn is a king. A creature that looks like a bear lying on its side is an empire. It's a kingdom, and it's also a king. It's spiritual because, not John, Daniel is in the spiritual realm, seeing the entities that will be operating over each kingdom. When Daniel was there in chapter 10, I think he saw that he made a request to God. He said, God, show me, right? What is this? What's going on? And the angel says to him, look, I took a little while to get here with the answer because the angel of Persia kind of confronted me and I had to wait for Michael's help. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it. There are entities, angels, and so on that are over nations, which are those spiritual authorities in the spiritual realms over the nations. So we know that in some way, Daniel is seeing spiritual things that are literal and real in the spiritual dimensions, but that will also manifest on earth in another physical, real, and literal way, as we will see. But here, everything is present. There's allegory, there's what is spiritual, and there's what is earthly, what is natural. We've already read Daniel 7, verses 4 to 6. Shall we summarize now what we've read? The first king or kingdom, which is the first beast that Daniel sees, is like, it isn't a lion, but it is like a lion. It has eagle's wings. The wings are torn off. It is lifted up from the ground. It is made to stand on its feet, and it is given a human heart. And the second beast, it is like a bear. It rises up on one side. I'm just writing what's in the text, without interpretation, with 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth, and it hears a command, get up, eat your fill of flesh. The third beast, which is like a leopard, is there with 4 bird wings on its back. It also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. It didn't have it. Dominion was given to it. And the fourth and terrible beast has 7 heads and 10 horns. Now we're going to add here the vision from Daniel chapter 2, the vision, the dream of Nebuchadnezzar, because this will add to the interpretation of this vision since they are parallel visions. In one, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream and Daniel went there to say what the dream was and interpret it. Here in Daniel chapter 7, Daniel is having a vision. Nebuchadnezzar saw a dream, and God showed it to him from Nebuchadnezzar's perspective. Everything was beautiful, glorious, wonderful, a magnificent statue. Something for the king to really understand. Daniel is seeing the reality in the spiritual dimension of how monstrous those empires were and the entities that were being fed there by worship, by idolatry, by witchcraft, and by all the paganism, all the sorcery, and all the evil and violence that existed in those empires. Daniel is seeing that in the spiritual dimension. So, should we add the statue then? It's the head of gold, which is the Babylonian Empire, the chest and arms of silver. Then we add the empires here, the belly of bronze and the legs of iron, and the feet of iron and clay in the fourth beast. We've already drawn this in another seminar. Do you remember that we put the statue and the beasts next to it over there? It turned out really cool. The first beast and the head of the statue is Babylon. The second beast and the chest and arms of silver. Did I say silver? Gold and silver, Medo-Persia. The third, which has a belly of bronze and is the leopard, or similar to a leopard, is the Greco-Roman Empire. And the last one, only God knows, right? There are 1,000,000 interpretations. I put Rome together with the Ottoman Empire because I want to incorporate that clay somehow. And from the other signs we've seen and other prophecies we see, even modern ones we can imagine, but we can't lock in this interpretation that communism, which is the UN, which is leftism, together with Islamism, will play some important role in the end time scenario. Just possibilities, okay? Nothing is set in stone here. The beast of Revelation 13 will rise from the last empire of Daniel 7, and according to Revelation 13, the last empire is made up of elements from the 4 empires in Daniel. So for the end time scenario, You need to put all of this together from Daniel 2 and Daniel 7, along with Revelation 12, 13, and 17. With the personality, and the characteristics of John of PRI, of 1 John, 2 John, with the events within the tribulation week that Paul mentions and that we already saw in Daniel 9 and Daniel 11. Want more? Okay, right? I think it's good now. There are similarities. We didn't start here. We started in Revelation 13, but Revelation 13:11 took us to Revelation 13:1, which ended up leading us to this whole scenario back in Daniel. 10 horns, 7 heads, leopard, bear, lion, dragon. See how many verses, how many passages in the Bible talk about this? A lot. We have a lot of information, and we don't need to allegorize so much because the text itself gives me, I don't need to go off on my own allegorizing. The text itself tells me, oh, but it doesn't say who it is or which nation it is. Of course not. Wait, be patient. We'll find out. We don't need to write book after book already claiming it's Russia or England or no. Let the scenario take shape. In time, we'll know. So where do we start? With my biblical roulette. Now I can interpret things a little better, right? So John is saying, saw another beast coming up out of the earth, which is the false prophet. Here are our texts, which kind of imitate Jesus. He spoke like the dragon from Revelation 12. He has an evil essence and a seductive pull toward idolatry, because we read in the text that he would make everyone create an image and worship that image. Let's go back to the beginning of the chapter. We saw that the first beast came out of the sea. We found its configuration everywhere in the Bible, right? In other places, especially back in Daniel. And now we have much more information than we did at the start of our biblical roulette. There's even more here. Wow, isn't it over yet? Revelation 13:12, which we've already read. The false prophet exercises all the power of the first beast in its presence and makes the earth. I imagine that means the whole planet, based on the context we read back in Daniel 7. And those who dwell on it, humans, worship the first beast, the Antichrist. Now I know that the Antichrist suffered a mortal wound that was healed. And now there's a question I need to ask you all. This false prophet, who is the beast that rises from the earth, performs great signs. He's apparently a man, right? A person, and he even makes fire come down from heaven. And everyone sees it. What is that? He's a man. He's a beast that came up from the earth, but he's a man. Yes or no? Do you think it's clear from the text that he's a man? And he does supernatural things. So, what is my interpretation? It's allegorical because he saw a beast, an animal, a creature rising from the earth with horns, etc. At the same time, this creature is a person who will operate with the same authority as the Antichrist, who is the beast that came up from the sea. So I can say that in this allegory, he manifests on earth as a person who tries to take someone else's place. He comes with the appearance of a lamb, but he speaks like the dragon. The dragon is a spiritual entity. The authority he receives comes from the dragon to the Antichrist to him. It's something spiritual, but everything is happening physically here on earth. And this fire, what is this fire? Is it hardship? Is it tribulation? Is it fire, flames falling from the sky, or not? And how is it going to be? How am I going to find my interpretation protocol to decide this? Where else in the Bible have I seen fire falling from the sky? Who remembers? Before that, let's go to the Old Testament. So let's go. 1 Kings 18, Elijah and the prophets of Baal. Verse 20 and SE, 37. Answer me, Yahweh, answer me, so that these people will know that you, Yahweh, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back. The people's hearts, that they may repent. Then the fire of Yahweh fell and consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stones, the dust, and even licked up the water that was in the trench there. Physical? Did it really fall? Are you sure that fire fell from heaven? It's unanimous here that it did. Not everyone believes it actually happened, but we saw that with the plagues of Egypt, you all also voted unanimously for the literal interpretation, right? So if it could happen there with the plagues, could it happen here too? Can God do this kind of thing? Can God open up the earth and swallow people? He can. So the interpretation here is both literal and physical. You can interpret it allegorically if you want and draw some lesson for today, but it did happen in history on a specific day, in a specific year, in a specific month. Yes, yes. Okay. If it happened back then, it could happen to the false prophet in our days, and it doesn't have to be virtual, okay, folks? He doesn't need to use HARP or whatever else or any of that stuff, right? Like we saw at that show where whales were flying and everyone saw the whales, people almost could touch the floating whales, and it looked real. If they can put on a show with floating whales and people watch, have you seen what drones are doing at shows these days? Spectacular things, beautiful. If he has the authority of the dragon, the power of the dragon, does he need to use technology? No, he doesn't need to. This is supernatural. If it's virtual, it won't fool anyone. There's no point in him doing something supernatural. Anyone can do it. Any hacker can do it. No, he's going to receive the authority of the first beast that came from the dragon to perform signs, miracles, and wonders. Who else will be on earth performing signs, miracles, and wonders from God at the same time? The two witnesses. Very good.